Okay, welcome everyone. Good evening, namaste. Um, so this is a highly informal gathering. The idea was which got a little more formal, but the idea was for all the students to play one or two songs, and happily timed with the occasion of Tyagaraja Aradhana. Um, and the additional element, I invited a couple of Mridangam players whom I will introduce to play along with us. Um, I think almost everyone knows everyone. We just want, Sundar thought it would be a good idea if we sort of talk a little bit about Tyagaraja and for Srinath's teachers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the names.
Elaine and Miyavi, is that right?
Yeah, Elaine and Miyavi, thank you, welcome. For those who don't know, they are Srinath's violin. Elaine is Srinath's violin teacher, Western violin teacher, and Miyavi is her friend. So Tyagaraja was one of the sort of the main composers of the form of music that I teach, I practice, and these kids learn from me, called Carnatic music, or the music of South India. There were three big composers, the Trinity as they were called, all three, interestingly enough, from a very small, within a few square miles of each other, contemporaries, and very coincidentally, the contemporaries of some of the biggest composers in the world of classical music, like Mozart. So they all lived in somewhere between 1750 to 1850. And Tyagaraja was one of them. He, whatever we owe to this form of music today, was shaped by these three composers, Tyagaraja, Muthuswami Dikshidhar, and Shyama Shastri. When you go upstairs, you will see a picture of the three of them upstairs in Sundar's dining room.
Yeah.
Of the three, so between them they have, the compositional form in this form of music is song based. So it's not, and it's really the whole form of music is a highly vocalized form of music. So everybody learns songs which have lyrics, though we won't be playing the lyrics and we won't be singing the lyrics, but all of these songs have lyrics. And among the three, they have about almost 1,000 compositions which form the core of the repertoire. Of the three, Tyagaraja, who we are sort of remembering today, was the most prolific. There are known, almost 625 or 634 compositions of his. Out of the 1,000 are his. So he, as he says, it's still today finest. I won't. That would be getting controversial, but definitely the most prolific of the composers. Among these three, he was born in 1767. He lived most of his life in this town, Tiruvarur, which is in the southern India, which is where all the other two composers also lived. He composed mostly in the Telugu, which was his native language, which is actually a language spoken slightly up north. It's argued, it's supposed that a number of his compositions did not survive, but we have only about 600. He composed into over 200 ragas. A raga, for if maybe you're not familiar, is just it's a set of notes. It's not often it could be a linear scale, or it could be a set of notes with a set of rules around how you should place the notes. His day of passing is observed every January, and this year the official day was January 10th. And people world over get together to remember him by singing his compositions. What were some of the unique things about Tyagaraja, even within, it's fine, you can have a seat. What were some of the unique things about Tyagaraja, even compared to his peers? One was, he was very prolific. Two was he composed in a specific language. But three, I think musically, some of the most unique things about him were that, he was, in a way, his music is, his compositions are very core to, any student of music starting to learn the improvisation, or the manodharma as we call in music. And you will see this today when all your children play, there will be one line of the song, there'll be one lyric, but it will be presented with minute variation, and as it's called Sangati, and he's credited with developing this whole variations in music. And so that's one unique contribution. The other one is among his peers, even among his peers, he was the first one who's known to have, not the first one, he was the one who was known to have the most elaborate set of disciples, through whom really his works have been propagated. The others had disciples too, but really, Tyagaraja's disciples, went out to propagate his works. So even outside his region, his work was very well known, his compositions. And then some of them went on to become very eminent composers themselves. Patnam Subramania Iyer, Manambu Chavade Venkatesh Iyer, Patnam Subramania's student Puchi Srinivasa Iyengar. So the whole lineage. So that's one. And the other composition thing is like this whole the kritis that we play. Most even composers post Tyagaraja, his disciples, and then even to date, most of the people who are composing today are using the framework provided by him. One of the hallmarks of his thing is, like, as you know, a kriti has 3 parts. Most kritis have 3 parts: Pallavi, the head; the Anupallavi; and then the Charanam, the body, the third part. In the third part, you'll see that there's a section of the music which is just like the second part. That is Tyagaraja's originality, and most of the compositions even today are following that pattern, and somehow he established it. And of the 3, the other thing was, we won't get into this because we're not doing lyrics today, but his lyrics had the most variety. All of them had their pet, gods or deities they composed on, but he composed on a wider variety, and he also composed on a wider set of topics. He talked about some of the social modes of his time. He talked about, he composed a number of moods, like, he was, his favorite god was Rama, who was represented here. He fought with Rama, he cajoled Rama, he treated Rama like his brother, like his dad, like his enemy, like, he was very sarcastic. All the modes are there in Tyagaraja's compositions, some of those are, very important reasons why his compositions, and so in a sense they made it more accessible to people who, at that time, a lot of them understood the language, we don't, but that was another factor which made it very accessible as compared to his peers. And so that, in some senses, I think Mahatma Gandhi called him South India's secret hidden gem or something, or something to that effect. So that was Tyagaraja. What we will do is today we will play a few of his compositions. I will start with the first one with Dr. Sundar. This is a composition not on Rama but on Lord Ganesha, which, as you know, we invoke whom we first invoke when we start anything. And Shri Ganapatini is the name of the composition. Every year, and the last thing I will say before the music starts, every year, on the day of his passing in Tiruvayar, which is like the village where he lived, and his memorial was constructed. Hundreds of musicians gather, and they sing all of his a number of compositions, but 5 of them, 5 of this magnum opus compositions of his, called the Pancharatna Kritis, the 5 jewels, are rendered as a group. And we may or may not get time to, I may or may not get time to play one of those. But before those 5, they always sing this invocation to Ganesha. And so we will start with that.